Okay, so welcome to the deep dive, and today, um, we're gonna tackle something pretty big, something that I think touches every aspect of our lives, and that is collaboration.
Hmm.
And we're gonna do that by pulling out the big ideas, kind of the core concepts from a blog post by Kenton Patterson on Future Tech Wise called "Winning Together."
Yeah, and as you're listening to this, I bet you're probably in the middle of some stuff where teamwork and shared goals are like super important.
Right.
I mean, whether that's at work, leading a project, or maybe just trying to get the family to agree on, like where to go for dinner.
Right, or if you're working on some kind of community project or volunteering,
Yeah,
you're always having to figure out ways to work together.
exactly.
So what we want to do in this deep dive is really understand Patterson's argument for why this winning together idea isn't just like some nice sounding thing, but really like a fundamental way to achieve, really significant and lasting results.
Yeah, he really goes deep on it.
Yeah. So let's jump in. I mean, he starts off by kind of challenging like how we usually think about what it means to win.
Yeah, it's really interesting what he says about how the idea of winning, that traditional idea is it's all about like being better than everyone else or, getting ahead of other
Yeah,
people.
coming in first, you know?
Exactly. It's kind of changing, right? Like he's saying that in the world we're in now, where everything's so connected, uh, real success is more and more about like everyone rising together.
It's less about like being the lone star and more about creating a space where everyone can do well.
Yeah.
And but he really emphasizes that like in this crazy fast-paced world we live in, being able to collaborate isn't just like a nice to have skill, it's like a fundamental thing that separates the people who really make a difference.
Yeah. And it makes sense when you think about how complex like all the problems we face today are. Whether it's like developing brand new technologies or tackling like some big societal issue. I mean, it's pretty rare for one person to have all the answers, right?
Right. Yeah.
So collaboration becomes like this essential tool for bringing everyone's expertise together and really tackling these problems head on.
It's like, the problems are too big for any one person to solve on their own.
Yeah, you need all hands on deck.
And Patterson, lays out some really practical ways that this collaboration thing actually pays off. He talks about how it just leads to more ideas flowing, and the solutions you come up with are just more well-rounded and stronger.
Right, because you're getting input from all these different perspectives.
Yeah, and it naturally builds trust and strengthens those relationships between people. It's almost like the journey towards a goal becomes more, I don't know, more fulfilling, you
Yeah.
know, when it's a shared effort.
Right, it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey and who you're sharing it with.
Exactly. Now, this brings up a really important question, though. How do you actually go from focusing on like what you can achieve on your own to really embracing this whole we're in this together kind of dynamic?
Yeah, and Patterson highlights like a cornerstone of winning together, and that's establishing a shared vision,
Yeah.
like right from the get-go.
Right. So he's basically saying this shared goal is like the foundation for any real collaboration. It's like having that compass, that guides everyone in the same direction.
Right, keeps everyone on the same page.
And when people align their efforts towards something bigger than themselves, it creates this energy, this collective energy that just pushes things forward.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And, think about it. Whether it's a successful business, a thriving organization, or even like a sports team that keeps winning, they all have these really clearly defined goals, right?
And that clarity is key.
Yeah, because it makes sure everyone knows what their role is, how their work fits into the big picture, and why what they're doing matters.
Right, it gives everyone that sense of purpose.
It's like a really good orchestra. Each musician has their own part to play, but it's when they all come together, guided by the same music, that they create that beautiful, impactful performance.
I like that analogy.
And Patterson emphasizes that this shared vision isn't just important at the beginning. It's got to be there all the time, especially when you hit those inevitable roadblocks.
Oh, absolutely, because setbacks, they're going to happen in any big project. It's just part of the process. But that shared vision, it acts like this guiding light. It reminds everyone why they started in the first place and helps them stay focused on overcoming those challenges together.
Right, because if you don't have that shared vision, it's easy to get discouraged and kind of lose your way when things get tough.
Yeah, you start to question why you're even doing it.
But, even with a shared vision, it's not enough, right?
Exactly. Patterson also points out the critical role of communication and cooperation.
Yeah, he calls effective communication like the glue that holds successful teams together. And it's not just about, sending out information or emails,
Wow,
really.
got to be deeper than that.
It's about creating a space for open and honest dialogue, really listening to what other people have to say, even if you don't agree with them, and valuing everyone's input.
And what's really interesting is how Patterson connects communication to this feeling of being valued. When people feel like their voices are being heard and their contributions are taken seriously, they're naturally going to be more engaged and dedicated to the mission.
Right. It's almost like a self-fulfilling
Yeah.
prophecy. Good communication leads to feeling valued, which then leads to even better communication and commitment.
Yeah, it's a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. And then there's cooperation. Patterson makes it clear that this means recognizing and really using the unique skills and strengths that everyone brings to the table. It's understanding that we all have different talents and that this diversity is actually a huge advantage when you're working together.
It's about celebrating those differences instead of seeing them as obstacles.
Right, because by really tapping into this range of skills and perspectives, teams become much better at solving problems and they just get way more creative.
Yeah, because when you have all those different minds approaching a challenge from different angles, you're way more likely to come up with those out-of-the-box solutions that one person might never think of on their own.
It's like having this built-in brainstorming machine ready to tackle any problem that comes up.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about this shift in mindset, the importance of that shared vision, and how communication and cooperation are so essential.
Hmm.
But what are the real tangible benefits of actually living by this winning together philosophy? What are the real-world payoffs that Patterson talks about?
The first big one he points out is a clear boost in productivity and just overall success. When teams are really collaborating well, they just get more done, plain and simple. By leveraging everyone's skills and talents, they become more efficient, and ultimately, they just get better results. It's that whole idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
It's like each person's efforts are amplified when they're part of this coordinated collaborative system.
Yeah, it's like a synergy effect.
And beyond just, the measurable stuff, Patterson talks about how it has this positive impact on relationships and community.
Yeah, what's really important here is that working together towards shared goals, whether it's at work, on a sports team, or even just in your neighborhood, it really strengthens the bonds between people. It builds trust, creates mutual respect, and fosters this really strong sense of belonging.
That sense of belonging is really powerful, right? It's knowing that you're not facing challenges alone, that you've got this supportive network working with you towards a common goal.
Yeah, you're all in it together.
And going back to something we touched on earlier, Patterson emphasizes how collaboration really supercharges problem solving and innovation.
Hmm.
When you bring all those different perspectives together and you encourage open and respectful dialogue, you're creating this breeding ground for new ideas. And when you brainstorm together, letting those different viewpoints bounce off each other, you often end up with much more creative and effective solutions than if everyone was just working on their own.
Yeah, it's like cross-pollination of ideas.
Exactly. And finally, Patterson points out the positive impact this all has on morale and motivation. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right?
It does. I mean, think about it. When you know you're a valued member of a team, that your contributions are appreciated, and you're all striving for something together, it's a huge morale booster. And when you experience those wins as a team, it creates this positive, engaging environment where everyone is more enthusiastic and motivated to give their best.
It's contagious, that positive energy.
It is.
So, winning together sounds amazing in theory, but how does Patterson show us how it works in real life? He gives some concrete examples to illustrate this idea. Let's start with sports teams, because that's always a good one.
Yeah, what's really cool about the sports analogy is how clearly it shows that even when you've got incredibly talented individual players, winning ultimately comes down to teamwork, coordination, and everyone being committed to the same goal. The best athletes understand that their own personal achievements are tied to the success of the team as a whole.
Right. Think about any championship team. You might have those superstar players who get all the attention, but they can't win consistently without the support, the strategy, and the effort of everyone on that team. Everyone has a crucial role to play.
Exactly.
And then Patterson takes this concept and applies it to business teams.
Yeah, in a business setting, winning together means breaking down those walls between different departments, really using all the diverse skills and knowledge within the company, and building a culture that actually values and rewards collaboration. Companies that make this a priority tend to be more innovative, their employees are happier, and they're usually more successful in the long run.
It's about recognizing that different departments, even though they focus on different things, are all working towards the same overall goals for the business. And when they communicate and collaborate well, the whole company benefits.
Makes sense.
And Patterson takes it even further, applying those winning together principles to communities and society at large.
And this is where you really see the powerful impact of winning together on a bigger scale. When communities come together to support each other, whether it's through charities, education programs, or other social initiatives, they create stronger, more resilient societies. Solving big societal problems often requires collective action and a shared commitment to the greater good.
It highlights that it's not just about individual advancement or even just business success. It's about building a better world through collective effort and support. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Kenton Patterson's Winning Together, it's clear that he's talking about a pretty big shift in how we think about achievement.
Yeah, his main point is that real success and fulfillment don't come from this constant individual competition, but from embracing a mindset focused on collective achievement. It's about moving away from me and towards we.
And as we've discussed, the benefits are huge. More productivity, more innovation, stronger relationships, a stronger sense of community, better problem solving, and a more positive and motivated environment for everyone. It really reinforces the idea that by supporting and lifting others up, we ultimately achieve greater success ourselves.
That brings us to our final thought, building on what Patterson leaves us with. Think about the different areas of your life, your work, your personal relationships, your community. Where could embracing this winning together mindset open up new possibilities and lead to more meaningful outcomes? And what's one small step you could take today to create a more collaborative environment in one of those areas?
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
See you next time.
Until next time, keep thinking deeply.
And winning together.